Well, welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of Between the Studs.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Today we're going to talk about the process of our incredible model home we call the Monaco, which is 10,000 square feet.
Now, you might have been able to guess what we're going to talk about on this show by what's behind us. We're going to be talking about the glamorous, the exciting, the sexy.
Keep going, keep going.
The HVAC, otherwise known as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Exciting things, the actual heartbeat of the home. Let's start with the heating system.
Yeah, now here at Granite Ridge, again, we get excited about this and we know how important it is for every one of our homes to have a very healthy and comfortable environment inside. We kind of refer to this as the lungs of the home. And we have done several upgrades, and the Monaco even has a few extra ones that we're going to talk about. But let's start with it. This here is kind of the centralized location. This is our furnace. And with our furnaces, we do a 96% plus efficient furnace. Simply what that means is 96% of the energy that goes into this finds that way to wherever your supply run comes into. So we're not wasting a lot of energy.
Another very important part of the furnace system is the filter system, how we create and provide fresh air as this thing is working and circulating throughout the house.
Correct. Now, depending on your lifestyle, I mean, you could put a lot of pollutants in your home. So the filter is extremely important.
This is kind of old-fashioned. We call this a squirrel catcher. It doesn't filter much. But Granite Ridge's standard is a 8 or a 4-inch. We call it 8 MER filter system. That's standard in all of our homes. And we've made it in such a way that you could literally exchange your filter, which you should do about every 6 months, within 30 seconds to a minute. But if you want to go beyond that, you can actually put a better filter in there up to MER 11.
12 even. Yep.
Even 12. And if you want to go beyond that, if you've got allergies and you're concerned about that, you can put an electronic system in.
Yep.
And you can get to MER 15, which is basically hospital air quality.
Correct, yeah. And those are all very easy upgrades to do.
There's also germs that float around in the house. And we've got a couple options for that. A plasma system, which you can't really see here, but then also we got this ultraviolet light system. And I know the bulb costs about $75, but this thing's going to zap what percent?
It's almost 98% of the living part of viruses and bacteria in your air. And then with the plasma, that'll then trap it within the furnace filter there. So between those two components, it really eliminates any of those potential viruses that might be floating around.
The other important part of the HVAC system is the air conditioning system. I didn't know what air conditioning was growing up, but now the incredible systems have improved. In the last 15 years, they've actually improved 50%. They're actually rated, it's called a SEER, Seasonal Energy Efficiency Rating. It's now 15. A few years ago it was 10. And these things are going to do the job to keep the home comfortable, providing the fresh air your home needs to breathe and to make it comfortable for you.
Yeah, and not only will it be cool, but with it paired with our furnace, it will dehumidify the air. So it'll take out some of that inside humidity because, again, we're taking showers and breathing and making pasta. That's going to help dehumidify that air. We've done a couple other things at the Monaco. Talk about zoning, for example. We've got 2 different thermostats here, so imagine maybe one is in a upstairs and one is in the main floor. This will allow the heating or the cooling to only be sent to the floor that needs it. Now, we typically think about it from a floor-to-floor standpoint. It can also be room to room. You can zone just the master bedroom if you want to keep that a little bit cooler. Or maybe you have a sunroom with lots of windows and you're going to get a lot of that solar heat gain. You can have that zone. And so we can create a lot of zones within the house to add to that overall comfort for the home.
The other thing we do now, because these houses are so tight and efficient, is help them to breathe. And so we're going to bring fresh air intake into the plenum of the furnace. It's going to be done by your thermostat, which is digital and Wi-Fi ready. And it's going to bring fresh air in outside when it needs to and take stale air inside the home out when it needs to as well.
Yeah, which is extremely important. And then not to mention we do have our Wi-Fi thermostats that are programmable, so you can set your own schedule. So as you can see, we've got a lot. I know you and I could sit here and talk about this all day, but we do need to get to the rest of the cast members, find out where they're at.
Yeah, let's go.
Welcome to Between the Studs. We are Granite Ridge Builders, custom builders serving northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and also parts of southern Michigan. We have been building custom homes for almost 2 decades, and we're really passionate about what we do. So join us today as we explore the processes, the trends, and also tips that characterize today's new home. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back. Today's Between the Stud episode, we're going to continue showing you the process of building our Monaco, the 10,000 square foot model showcase home out off of Shadow Creek. We are on our 10th episode. We're going to be talking about the mechanical stage again today.
Yeah, so today we're talking about the unglamorous and, in my opinion, the most underappreciated thing when it comes to building a new home. And that's because it's invisible. We can't see it, but it directly affects our health. And that is the HVAC system, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, all of that plays together to make sure that we have a healthy home for people to live healthy in.
It is probably one of the most important components in our homes for our health and our well-being. We're so thankful to have heating and cooling. Some days, though, at the office, the cooling's a little much, but we are so thankful for that.
And as you can see in the opening, our plan is to install nothing but the best and most innovative system that we can in the Monaco model.
And all of these innovations have really come around in the last 70 or so years. You know, before that, we never had any heating or air conditioning, and it's really some of the most important things in our daily lives.
So fire and heating have been a huge part of humanity since the beginning of time. Since Prometheus brought the flame down, it's been very important. But until recently, heating has really been something that's been inconsistent and just not very reliable.
The Greeks and the Romans really experimented a lot with some wood-fired furnaces to try to get things going. Not a lot of success. It really wasn't until 1747 when our good friend Benjamin Franklin stepped in and he developed the Franklin stove. Now the Franklin stove is fantastic. They used it for years. It was really good at one area, but not heating an entire house.
We jumped leaps and bounds in the 1950s when the central heating system was introduced. Before that, it was multiple furnaces, it was radiators, it was the coal-operated octopus gravity furnace like my grandfather used to have.
And I can still remember those gravity furnaces. They took up almost the entire basement. You'd walk downstairs. It was one of the scariest things as a kid. I still think a great movie would be Return of the Gravity Furnace.
Today we are blessed with 96% efficient furnace, even better than that really, gas forced air heating system and AC ducts in every room, which then gives us the ability to have air filters and clean air in every room to really enhance our lives and our health.
And the most important game changer of all game changers in mankind was the introduction of central air conditioning.
And in 1902, Willis Carrier, now that Carrier name should ring a bell for some people here, he was credited with inventing a machine that controlled humidity, temperature, and it also allowed a little bit of ventilation because he built it for a publishing company back in 1902.
And Mike, if you think about it, air conditioning really didn't catch on until about 1960s. And old people like Lonnie and I have been blessed actually to go through that. I don't know about you, Lonnie, but my first air conditioning was a window air conditioner, and we didn't get it in our bedroom, but my mom and dad did. And that was about 1968.
We couldn't afford those.
Well, it has revolutionized our work experience, our life at home. Think about hospitals, what it's done to hospitals, controlling the temperature, the humidity, and the cleanliness. What a difference it's made in operating rooms as well.
Yeah, and air conditioners have also had a major impact on our floor plans as well as the architectural styles of the past, especially if you lived in that southern part of the United States. Because before then, people really didn't live down there, and if they did, they had to make sure that they had good ventilation through the house.
You'd have a big front porch or back porch because it provided shade and also helped keep you cool. Also, floor plans had twice as many windows in them because you needed that for ventilation before we had those ACs.
Some other things is maybe planting large trees to block the sun, or having large attic fans that you'd run all night, or even small fans in each room.
And in Arkansas, we would do something where we get a block of ice and blow a fan over it, call it a swamp cooler. That's kind of how you could cool things off. But another way would be also to put just the ceilings a little bit higher, so that way you let the heat elevate to the top of the ceiling.
So here are some fun dates and facts that we thought would really tie into this air conditioning system here. So like I said, in 1902, Willis Carrier made the first breakthrough in air conditioning, where he invented this system to keep the publishing paper cool for a publishing company.
In 1914, a man named Stuart Kramer coined the term air conditioner. And he actually installed the very first system. Now get this, it was 7 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and it was 20 feet long.
In the 1920s, schools and governments didn't have any way to keep the buildings cool in the summer, so they instituted a 3-month summer break, which we kind of still have today. I won't make any jokes about how the government's always on break, but the schools, they take 2 months now, even though the kids still wish it was 3.
And in 1930, air conditioning was installed in the first floor of the White House. Now, in the 30s, many of the movie theaters did have air conditioning. So that was a place for people would go escape the heat. And usually a new movie would come out in the summer, hence summer blockbuster. So the Embassy was probably one of the first theaters here in Fort Wayne to get air conditioning. That was in 1935.
Now, here's something interesting about those movie theaters in that in 1932, the average cost of an air conditioner would be the equivalent of $100,000 today. Not a lot of houses had those, other than the White House. In 1939 is when the Packard automobile put the first air conditioner in a car. But it was really fascinating because in 1955, only like 5% of all houses had an air conditioning unit in their home.
This lucky baby will sleep quietly through the night. Yes, no matter how high the temperature goes outdoors, this baby's RCA air conditioner will keep his room filled with cool, dry, fresh air and keep that room so comfortable and quiet he'll never need a middle-of-the-night lullaby. Yes, quiet is the word for this new 1954 RCA air conditioner, as the wonderful Heart of Cold compressor silently cools the air for you. RCA, America's finest air conditioner, goes quietly about its business of keeping you comfortable. Its exclusive Hushabye fans silently push the air through the room in a fresh, cool flow. Listen how quiet and see how simple. This young lady is responsible for the weather in her home. It's as easy as child's play. The RCA Climate Tuner, with its cleverly concealed panel, has push-button controls for choosing the indoor climate she wants. Now she's setting the thermostat control for constant, even comfort. And all through the night, that thermostat makes certain of the same cool, gentle room temperature. There's an RCA air conditioner to suit any room, one just right for you. And for RCA service and installation, get one of these RCA factory service contracts. Then you'll be certain of America's finest service for America's finest air conditioner. The RCA air conditioner.
Well, there was huge strides that were made between 1955 and 1960 because it really became a lot more affordable for almost everybody to have air conditioning, and that was very small just by the window air conditioning units in the homes. Now, what that did was it enabled a lot of people to move to places like Florida, Arizona, Texas, and anywhere that it was hot.
Yeah, and by the 70s, most commercial buildings had air conditioners installed. And the 70s were kind of a pivotal moment for new home building. That's when we started putting them in new homes, replacing those window air conditioners. This was a fixed unit inside the home.
Yeah, and obviously the quality improved and improved and improved. And just in 2007, which most of you guys can remember of that year, we had about 86% had air conditioning. So obviously it caught on very fast. 2017, 93% of all of the residential homes have air conditioning. Okay, let's get back to the Monaco and let's talk a little bit about the equipment, the HVAC equipment that we're going to be using out there.
And as we've mentioned, we're in the mechanical stage on the Monaco, so we are starting to install all of this HVAC equipment going in there. And we have worked for months working with our draftsmen, our engineers, Hartman Brothers, who's a fantastic heating company, and all of our project managers and designers to design a healthy, a quiet, a comfortable, and top-of-the-line HVAC, because there are 6 different ways that we are having to heat this home.
So let's go through the quick list of equipment that we're working with for the Monaco. So there are 3 96+% efficient 2-pipe, 2-stage gas furnaces with variable speed fans and dehumidification mode. There are 3 ductless single-zone heating and air conditioning mini-split systems. This system is very energy efficient and it is quiet. You cannot hear it.
And the most important one is in the golf simulator room.
And the garage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Why are we still whispering?
Oh, okay, we can talk normal now.
We're also installing 3 2.5-ton central air conditioning enhanced units. The SEER rating is SEER 15. And our smart, balanced, healthy, fresh air intake system that's going to be controlled by a smart thermostat.
And so this fact really interested me. There's over 672 linear feet of ductwork with this house and 53 registers plus 3 of the iWave Global Plasma Solution Filter air systems.
Yeah, and there are 13 cold air returns. On a typical house, we have 4 to 5. And this one here really blew my mind. 23 different gas stop locations. So that means we've got 23 areas where we've got a gas furnace or a range or a fireplace or a generator. So we've got a lot of areas that require gas on this house. All right, well, I think we've talked about it enough. Let's get out to the house and take a look at what these guys are doing out there.
Let's do that. Welcome to another quick segment talking all about the Monaco, our $3 million house. This is out in Shadow Creek. It's on Coldwater Road. We are so excited. It's moving along quickly. Well, as quickly as a $3 million house can go. But we are still on process to get it finished up this year. And right now, we're here in front of the furnace, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, we just entered into HVAC stage of this now. The framers are still wrapping up, but the nice thing is we can bring multiple people in here since it's such a big house. HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So let's focus on our furnace here. There's basically 3 parts when it comes to a furnace. And we've got the cover off here, so as I work my way from the bottom to the top, the bottom is just the blower fan. So that fan is just going to be what pushes the air and then sucks airs through the returns. Brings it all back through here. This second area here is where all of the heating happens. Okay. So in this case here, we've got over 6 burners. So literally a flame that is then heating up the air. Now, one misconception is that flame never mixes with the air that's inside the house. It heats up a chamber, the air goes around the chamber and then heats up the air. Okay. So that is what we've got going on here. Now, a couple things I want to talk about with the furnace. We do a 2-stage variable speed furnace. This one here is a carrier unit, but we kind of need to unpack what both those mean.
But the big thing with this is the same type of furnace that we'll use in our $350,000 houses, and in this house, which is a lot bigger, but we're using more of them.
Yes, exactly. We're using more and then larger, but it is the same components, same parts and pieces, and the 2-stage. So let's unpack that. The 2-stage is essentially that those flames can kick on at about a 60% or 100%. A traditional furnace only has one stage, 100% of the time. So you're gonna notice more of a temperature fluctuation in your house. So when it's calling for heat, those flames kick on at 100% and it will typically overheat the space. And when those furnaces, you feel it.
I call it the blanket aerobics.
Yeah.
Because, you're warmed up when that thing kicks on 100%, so you take the blanket off, and then when it cools down, then you're putting it back on, and then it kicks on and you're taking it off again. With this 2-stage, it's gonna keep more of a level temperature through your house the entire time, which even makes it more energy efficient. Because the big thing that sucks power and gas out of this is when it kicks on. So when it kicks on, it's just that full-blown push. Well, with this, it stays on for a longer stretch of time, so it's going to be more energy efficient.
Yeah, and then the variable speed part of that, that's the fan below there. That fan can rev up and down. It's got about 5 to 6 different settings that it can. So depending on how much, so let's say you walk into the house and you're carrying groceries in, and you leave that front door. In this case, we've got a double front door open. So maybe it's the day you're moving furniture and you've got that open. It's going to know it needs to kick on the high stage and the highest speed of that fan. But let's just say a typical, Sunday afternoon, nobody's coming in and out of the house. That fan may only need to kick on to the low speed, as well as the burner's about 60%. And it will definitely keep things much more comfortable, and you also won't hear the system as much.
Got more questions about it? You can go to GraniteRidgeBuilders.com. You can watch other videos or just give us a call.
This episode, we're talking all about HVAC, and we've got a new face for you. This is Kate Yanko. This is one of our sales agents, and she is out here with the Monaco with me today to talk all about heating, ventilating, air conditioning. That's what HVAC stands for. And specifically, we're going to talk about return air grills, registers, or supplies, and how all that plays in here.
Yeah, so this house is huge. How many cold air returns do we have in this house?
Yeah, so this house we have 13 cold air returns, and this is one of them right behind us, and this is servicing the large basement area here. In a traditional house, how many would we have?
I would say 5 or 6. We definitely want to have one in every bedroom, and then we have a couple in the main areas as well to keep that air circulating and nice and fresh.
Yeah, and keeping those rooms comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, on the supply side, so a lot of people just call those registers, and those are going to be the smaller ones. They're typically in the floor, but in the basement here, they're up in the ceiling. And on this house, we've got a whopping 51
gosh.
registers on this house. And on a traditional house, we probably would have what?
12 or 13?
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Now, one big component with this, and this is what a challenge that we had to figure out. We spent almost a day in this house walking with our decorator team, our HVAC team, our project management team, trying to figure out how to not only not have very many drops, but having these cold air returns in good locations to make sure, as you mentioned, everything is comfortable.
Yeah.
Because there's more than just, oh, slap a cold air return in and you'll be fine. It has to be a balanced system. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. So the amount of supply, we have to bring in that same amount of air through the returns. Otherwise, you choke the system out.
Yeah.
It's simple. You're moving that much cubic feet of air, you need to bring that much cubic feet back in.
Interesting.
All right, so we're down in the basement at the Monaco. Still a lot going on here. And this space, we've crammed a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of details, a lot of shiny metal around us. But I have a new face here to introduce you to. This is Dylan Amiot. And he moved from California 4 years ago, joined the Granite Ridge team, literally just picked a spot on a map, said, I want to go there, visited it, fell in love with it, and then brought your dad a few months later. And Mark Amiot is his father, who is one of our draftsmen. So we have Mark and Dylan both working for us. Mark can draw it, Dylan can build it. He's one of our project managers, helping us build this house with many others. But let's get back to it. We're talking about HVAC today. And in this house, in order to heat and cool this, we needed 6 different ways to pull that off. And we've got one of the big ones here right to my left.
Correct. The first basement, or the one in the basement here, is 110 BTUs, and then 2 stories up above us, we have another furnace at 80,000 BTUs.
Yeah. So you said 110 BTU, 110,000 BTU.
Correct.
And BTU stands for British Thermal Unit. Basically what it stands for is the amount of energy that it takes to heat up 1 gallon of water 1 degree. So what all that means for you guys is that a typical house that we build, 40,000 to 60,000 BTU is about all we need. So you said 110 plus 80. We're already at 190,000 BTU. So those are 2 of our systems. We got this one here and then one 2 floors up, and that's providing most of the heating and cooling for our general locations here. But we've got more than that because we've got a golf simulator room and a workout room on the side here that, believe it or not, this furnace wasn't able to keep that heating and cooling.
Correct.
So we had to add what we call a
Mini split.
Mini split. And a mini split is just a smaller unit that mounts partly outside and then partly inside. And it's going to be central just to those 2 locations. So they'll have their own thermostat. It'll be completely separate from any of the other systems. We keep it, let's say you have a lot of people in those golf simulator room, or you're really trying to work out that swing. At 100 swings later, you're starting to sweat. You can turn it down. Same with the workout room. Now the 6th system is in one of our places we love the most, and that's in the
garage.
The garage, yeah. So we've heated that garage space to allow us to, work on our workshop comfortably, or our car, tinker, exactly. So if you add all those up, we're probably close to 400,000 BTU. And I keep saying that this house is about 10 times what a normal house is. And again, 40 to 60,000 BTU normal. This one, we're in that 400,000, which is just staggering numbers. All right, Dylan, we have to place that furnace in the garage. So let's go up there and figure out where the best spot that's gonna be. All right, Dylan, we can't talk about indoor air quality without talking about the humidity inside the home. The humidity can make a big difference inside the home, not only for just how you feel from a comfort standpoint, but also it can lead to that mold. It can lead to dust mites, that's another one. But in this house, the Monaco, we installed a couple different components to help make sure that humidity is always in the range we want it to be, and we're standing next to one of them.
Correct. This is a dehumidifier that is pulling the air from the cold air returns throughout the home, bringing it down here, dehumidifying, pulling the humidity out of the air, and then sending it back up to the furnace.
Yeah, and it's got a set point here, so you can set it right where you want it to be. And there's times where we don't need a dehumidifier. There's times where we need to actually add more humidity into the air. So in this house, we've also installed a humidifier, yep. And again, it has a dial, so you can set that in the wintertime, typically is when you're gonna need it, to again, that percentage that makes you feel comfortable. And it's gonna keep people from shocking, but it's also gonna keep your skin, your hair, are all gonna thank you.
All right, so Luke, are you gonna show me how this needs to be drained?
Yeah, well, a normal dehumidifier does. This does not. This has a built-in drain to it, so this is a set it, forget it. You set the humidity level, and it's gonna take care of the rest.
Guys, we got to close, but before we do, why don't we do this? Let's give our audience just a couple stud tips about heating and air conditioning.
Yeah, don't forget that your air conditioner is a giant dehumidifier, so it can definitely affect the indoor humidity. So decisions that you make on your thermostat, whether you have your thermostat go up at night when you're sleeping, that humidity will also rise, or whether you have your fan on or off, that can make a big difference in just that overall humidity.
And don't close off vents in specific rooms because you could create an issue with humidity or stale air.
And mold. We've had
Yes.
that
Yeah.
before.
Awful. Change your filter on your furnace. You can reduce your efficiency by 15% if you don't.
Along with the filter, make sure you're checking your coils. Your heating and cooling coil, the #1 cause of HVAC failure is dust buildup on the coils. Just a single millimeter of dust buildup on those coils can cause your system to run at 80% efficiency.
Wow.
And if you will seal and insulate your ducts for the heating and cooling system, you can increase the efficiency of your furnace by up to 20%.
Okay, it's time to close. I hope the audience has found this very interesting as we have. And also, the importance of air conditioning has been amazing throughout history, but especially just in the last 20, 30, 40 years. So Kayla, would you go ahead and close for us?
Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please pick up the phone and give us a call. Visit our website, or even better yet, come in our front doors here. We would love to talk to you about building your new home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess let's just start at the bottom here. I'm going to pull off some of these panels here. So I mentioned that it has a variable speed. Start over.
I was getting ready to kick it.
And this is a pipe that goes directly to the outside. This is what it's going to look like on the side of the siding. And it's just bringing in that fresh air. And we're exchanging all of the air once every 24 hours.
Probably the heating side of the HVAC, what do you call that thing? Acronym. Sorry, over. Okay. And we're here at our demonstration display showroom on Town Square. Oh, for crying out loud. Excuse me. I was going to say Woodland Plaza Road.
Sorry to interrupt. I just love comments. Hi, Karma. She's small, but
What's wrong with that?
Back in Arkansas, we would take a fan and blow it across a cube of ice, and that way you had some swamp cooler.
One single cube.
Okay, that was funny.
I bet that worked.
You know, my little brother had to hold the cube. I had the
past one.
And he actually installed the very first system. Now get this, it was 7 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and it was 20 feet long. It reminds me of my wife.
Oh my God.
Dual cab pickup truck, and she loves her truck.
Once again, complaints go to L. Norris at GraniteRidgeBuilders.com.
The term air supply refers to the air that has been treated, and it is moved from the plenum.
I guess so. Are you
Not the band.
Sorry. Didn't mean to bore you, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Come on up.
When it comes to indoor air quality, this thing does not work. Flea market. Some guy talked me into it. He says, you know what's going to happen next year? You only got one shot. You might pass out. You guys are
Okay, we're ready. You guys gotta stop.
It's hard to stop.
And I come in and I throw the bug again at you guys.
Stop it. It's right there. Yeah, it's okay. You can take that one.
Yeah, that's
Keep kicking it. I can't find it now.